Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm back to break down this 10-game NBA DFS slate on DraftKings. Before we get into it, if you do enjoy the content at any point in this video, if you could please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell, that would be greatly appreciated on the road to 500 subscribers. So thank you to everyone that has subscribed so far, and thank you to everyone that continues to support my content. It is greatly appreciated. And then don't forget to stay tuned to the end of the video for my lock of the night. Last night's lock letting us down a little bit in Dwight Howard. It was a 4-game slate. I tried to give you guys a little bit of a dicey play, but at the same time, someone I thought was safe enough with them recently trading off Tony Bradley. And then, you know, all of a sudden there was another guy in the rotation taking away Dwight's minutes. So it didn't pan out. I tried to give you guys my reasoning. It was a shorter game slate. I tried to give you something a little more contrarian, and I thought that he could see some bigger minutes, and he didn't. So going forward, we know that now, but overall, those lock of the nights have been doing very well all season long. Anyone that's been watching my content consistently, I think I've gotten some really good feedback on them. So stay tuned to the end of the video for my lock of the night. And with that being said, let's go ahead and start breaking down this slate today. First game on the slate right now, we have Portland taking on Detroit. This game comes in right now with a 221 over-under with a 7-point spread in favor of the Portland Trailblazers. So expected to be a decently paced game, nothing too crazy in this one. And Portland is expected to win semi-easily. I mean, a 7-point spread is a pretty large spread, nothing too crazy. But then you got Jeremiah Grant, Mason Plumlee, Saddiq Bey on the other side right now. These three guys are going to continue to see the bulk of the minutes. However, post-trade deadline, we're going to start seeing a lot of these teams that are, you know, quote-unquote tanking or not doing so well start really dicing up their minutes, and I have a feeling that's what you're going to start seeing here soon with this team. So keeping in mind which teams are really fighting for something is going to become really relevant when you're picking your plays, believe it or not, because these other teams, they just don't care. Their rotations won't be quite as tight. On the Portland side, you got Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Norman Powell, the new acquisition. I think Damian Lillard continues to be priced up a little too much for his role. However, with that being said, he has been priced down recently. Like, he was priced at like 10.5. He's seen his price drop all the way to 9.5 now. So continue to keep an eye on him. If his price tag continues to drop, we can jump on it. CJ McCollum, Norman Powell, I do think are more intriguing plays at their respective price tags. CJ McCollum consistently playing upper 30s minutes, putting up 51, 40, and 49 DraftKings points the last 3 times out, and this guy consistently is going to have a ton of upside with his shooting ability. And the same applies for Norman Powell, and these guys are a lot cheaper. Norman Powell only putting up 18 DraftKings points last time out, but I do think that was a bit of an outlier. He put up 33 the time before, and I do expect this guy to consistently be around the 40 DraftKings points mark. Overall, just keep an eye. I mean, they do have Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum. They're going to soak up a lot of usage. So if we continue to see that he's really playing third fiddle to the extreme, then of course things are going to change a little bit. But overall, feel pretty decent playing him. Miami taking on Indiana. This game right now comes in with a 217 over-under with a 1.5-point spread in favor of the Miami Heat. Expected to be a slow-paced game. There is no Victor Oladipo still. Kendrick Nunn is listed as questionable. Jeremiah Lamb and Doug McDermott are listed as questionable. Jeremy Lamb. So, as far as who we're looking to in this one, I mean, Domantas Sabonis, Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert, and Miles Turner, the top 4 guys on the Indiana side, to continue to play them. Specifically, Domantas Sabonis, you know, last time I had a big game. Malcolm Brogdon, Karis LeVert, continuing to have a bunch of usage as well. The only problem is, I will say, with these two guys, it seems as if you can only play one of them. Oftentimes, Karis LeVert will have a big game, Malcolm Brogdon won't, and Malcolm Brogdon will have a big game, but Karis LeVert won't. You know, vice versa, whatever the way it goes. So I do think that it's smart of you to be picking one of these guys. On the bright side, they are different positions. So if you're playing a lineup and the point guard fits in with the 7K price tag, feel great playing Malcolm Brogdon. And if you're playing a lineup and the shooting guard fits in with the 7K price tag, feel great playing Karis LeVert. It's just probably one of them is not going to get you there, unfortunately. But if you're playing multiple lines, definitely feel good playing both of them. And then as far as Miami's concerned, Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo at 8.8 and 8.2 continue to be the top 2 studs on their side. Especially with there being no Victor Oladipo yet. Really have some interest in these guys when they're in tight games. The only problem is the pace isn't exactly the best in this one. Then you got Tyler Hero, Goran Dragic down here that are both decent plays. But once again, I would probably only be playing one of these guys because they do cut into each other's usage both coming off the bench. Only one of them is probably going to have a big game. So Dallas taking on Boston. This game right now comes in with a 225 over-under with a 1-point spread in favor of the Dallas Mavericks. So expect it to be a close game, which is important when we're playing guys like Luka Doncic at 10-7. If you expect to stay close, he's going to get his full allotment of minutes, and you'll love to see that. The last 2 times out, being involved in 2 blowouts, only playing 27 and 28 minutes. Less than ideal if you played him. So now that he's in a game that's finally expected to stay close, we know what Luka Doncic is capable of, putting up 1.61 DK points per minute. Very good fantasy point producer, so I have no issues with playing him. And then Jaylen Brown, as I said, is questionable. If Jaylen Brown continues to be out in this one, we can definitely have some more interesting guys like Jason Tatum, Kemba Walker, Robert Williams, and Evan Fournier, specifically those guys, and then Marcus Smart. Evan Fournier, Kemba Walker, specifically, I think are the ones you're really looking to take a big leap in usage based upon their respective price tag. And I would definitely have interest in all 3 of these guys. Dallas does not scare me defensively. And then, of course, Jason Tatum gets the biggest usage bump of all. It's just he's priced up to 8-7. Put it 58 DraftKings points last time out, had a big game. So, you know what you're getting with Jason Tatum, especially if there's no Jaylen Brown. Plenty of upside there. And then on the Dallas side, Tim Hardaway Jr. Excuse me. Tim Hardaway Jr. at 6K continues to see some more minutes as well. Like I said, involved in 2 blowouts. But last time I only played 20 minutes because of that. Put up 35 minutes the time before. 43 DraftKings points. So that's what you're getting with Tim Hardaway Jr. More minutes, more usage to go around. And I do think that he's becoming more of a viable play on this Dallas side. And then Kristaps Porzingis at 7-9. Another guy you got to be looking to, producing on a very high rate recently, 53, 62, and 45 DraftKings points. The last time he put up 45, he only played 27 minutes. So you can imagine if he played his full workload, you'd be looking at a big game there. So I think that he's continuing to be somewhat underpriced on his recent performance. Houston taking on Brooklyn. This game is expected to be a blowout, but it is expected to be fast-paced. James Harden taking on his former team in the Houston Rockets at 230.5 over-under with a 14.5 point spread in favor of Brooklyn. So Brooklyn's expected to win this one very easily. Christian Wood and John Wall are both listed as questionable. Latest update on Christian Wood is that he is listed as probable. John Wall's latest update is that he is listed as a true questionable. So Christian Wood expected to be able to go here. I do like him a lot in this match. I'm taking on Brooklyn, not good defensively. I will like Kevin Porter Jr. a lot as well, especially if there is no John Wall. I think this guy has plenty of upside at his respective price tag. Jalen House Jr. is listed as questionable. If all these guys are out, Sterling Brown is going to get a big bump up. We're going to see KJ Martin get some more run. Ben McCollum all the way down here at 3-3 would become a great play as well. So just keep an eye on that news as far as John Wall. And keep an eye on who the Houston Rockets are going to choose to start in this one. All important things. On the Brooklyn side, it's James Harden and Kyrie Irving. These guys are going to dominate the ball. I'm not really looking at play anyone else. James Harden specifically having really big games last 2 times out with 78 and 77 DraftKings points. And then Kyrie put up 49 DraftKings points himself the last time out. So both having huge games. Both going to get a ton of shots. And it goes to show how much they're being involved just based on that. And then Kelly Olynyk at 5-2. I want to mention on the Houston side, if he is starting alongside Christian Wood, I still will really like him. Great fantasy point producer, only 5-2. I think that that's still too cheap if we find out he's really having a big role with his team, and I tend to think he's going to. Has been killing it all season long fantasy-wise when he was on the Heat as well, and now he's on the Rockets where he should have even more usage with all the injuries they're dealing with, so like him a lot. Utah taking on Memphis. Right now, this game comes in with a 227.5 over-under with a 6-point spread in favor of the Utah Jazz. Donovan Mitchell is listed as out, which is going to give a bump up in usage to guys like Mike Conley, Joe Ingles, Jordan Clarkson. All 3 of these guys I'm going to really like a lot more with there being no Donovan Mitchell out there. So just keep that in mind when you're building your lineups with this Utah team. All these guys are underpriced, in my opinion, with there being no Donovan Mitchell. They're all in the mid-5K range. They can all get you there. Whether you can play all 3 of them, I mean, you could, but you're getting a little dicey there. You probably wanted to play 1 or 2 of these guys. It is a decently good over-under, though, and it is a 6-point spread where it's expected to actually stay close with there being no Donovan Mitchell, though. So these are the things you got to weigh. Probably only playing 2 of those guys, and I feel really good about all 3 of them overall if I'm building multiple lineups. And then on the Memphis side, it's really as simple as playing Jonas Valanciunas and Ja Morant. Jonas Valanciunas putting up 50 DraftKings points the last time I played on that Houston squad. Ja Morant putting up 29, a little bit of a bad game for him, unfortunately. And then as far as if you're playing anyone else besides them, Dylan Brooks at 5-5, Kyle Anderson at 5-2 would be my 2 favorites. Dylan Brooks specifically my favorite. I say it every single time. Just the guy has upside at only 5'5". He put up 30 DraftKings points last time out. He's very capable of putting up 40. He's just very scoring reliant. So you need him to be hitting those threes. But when he does, the points add up very quickly. Brandon Clark down here, not really too all interested in him, but I will say that DeAnthony Melton at 4K, if there is no Grayson Allen, Justice Winslow continues to be out. DeAnthony Melton played 28 minutes last time out, put up 35 DraftKings points. This guy is just way too cheap, especially if there is no Grayson Allen for the amount that he can produce at. So I like him. Toronto taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander continues to be listed as out. This game right now comes in with a 222 over-under with a 7.5 point spread in favor of the Toronto Raptors. So Toronto expected to win this one fairly easily, and for good reason. There's no Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, there's no Al Horford, there's no Lou Dort, there's no Darius Bazley, which I will say from a fantasy aspect does open up some possibilities for us on this Oklahoma City side. They did recently bring on Tony Bradley at 3.6, got 14 minutes in his debut, nothing crazy. But I do think that there's some guys that are really going to start to see big minutes that can really put up some big games. Moses Brown at 7-1 continues to be the guy that's the most obvious candidate. Finally priced up somewhat. The 7-1 only put up 24 DraftKings points last time. I wouldn't let that make you fade him. The guy's putting up like 1.18 DK points per minute or something like that. Ridiculous. So very good fantasy producer. Same rule applies for Isaiah Roby and Pokusevski. I do think that these three guys specifically are just going to get a ton of minutes and opportunity. And then with there being guards listed as out, Theo Maledon's not exactly the best fantasy point producer. He's going to continue to start at 5'6". Personally, I'm not really all too interested in him. Sure, he can have a big game, but it's a little too sketchy for me. I'd rather go down to a Svi Mykhailiuk or a Ty Jerome at 4.5 and 4.2. Both these guys, I think, at their price tags just have more tournament-winning upside equity based upon how low priced they are. And then on the Toronto side, it's really straightforward. You're playing Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam, Kyle Lowry, and OG Anunoby. This top four guys, they get all the minutes in the Toronto rotation. If I'm playing anyone, it's these four guys. OG Anunoby, based upon his price tag, would be my favorite. 6'3", I think it's just too cheap for him. Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam, Fred VanVleet. You know what you're getting with them. Just a matter of if this game stays close. And like I said, with that being said, if it does turn a blowout, I like OG Anunoby even more because he's only 6'3", so it's easier for him to get there at his price tag. New York taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves. This game right now comes in with a 218 over-under with a 4-point spread in favor of the New York Knicks. So really slow-paced game for these Minnesota Timberwolves, honestly. However, on the New York side, I'm really going to like these guys because I like targeting Minnesota. They're not good defensively. Hopefully Derrick Rose is listed as out strictly from a rotational aspect for us from fantasy. Julius Randle, RJ Barrett, Alec Burks would all be top plays on the slate for me. I'm really going to like all these guys in this particular matchup, so I feel really confident playing them. And like I said, depending upon who's in and who's out, because if they're getting their minutes cut in two by a guy like Derrick Rose, then they're going to be less appealing. But on the Minnesota side, you got Karl-Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards, Malik Beasley. They're the other three that I'm looking to in this game. It's very straightforward for them as well. These three guys continue to dominate the on-ball usage, and they have the most upside of the whole team. So, really not hard, honestly, when it comes to who I'm picking and playing in this one. Anyone else in this game, sure. Nerlens Noel specifically. There is no Mitchell Robinson now, so he played 31 and 30 minutes the last two times out. And like I said, I love targeting in this Minnesota squad. And I think that Nerlens Noel is a great play at his price tag of 4.9. So, just want to make sure that that is known. Sacramento taking on San Antonio. This game right now comes in with a 230.5 over-under with a 2.5 point spread in favor of the San Antonio Spurs, so expected to move very quickly in this one. Only problem is Sacramento recently acquiring DeLon Wright at 4.8, and I do think that he's going to cut into the usage of some of these guys, playing like 23 minutes a game. Buddy Hield, Halliburton at 6'3 and 6'1. I'm a little concerned about their usage being cut into with him coming back, or with DeLon Wright coming on board, I should say. They both got you there in the last game against the same San Antonio team decently. But I do think that we look for their price tag to drop a little bit more, hopefully. Those two guys are priced a lot more decent than like Rashawn Holmes at 7.5 and De'Aaron Fox at 9.3, I will say. So while they're the ones taking the biggest hit, they also have the cheapest price tag. So I have no issue with you tossing them in your lineups in this type of a pace of game. the slower pace games is where it might become a concern of those guys. But Rashawn Holmes and De'Aaron Fox continue to absolutely beast and feast on this squad. They're the top two options. They're priced up, both for a good reason, and in a fast up-tempo game. I do really like both of them. And then on the San Antonio side, you're playing DeMar DeRozan, DeJounte Murray, Jakob Poeltl, Derek White, and Keldon Johnson. That's really their core. That's who I'm looking to play in this one. Anyone else, not so much. And specifically DeJounte Murray at 7K, I just think he's too cheap. Consistently seeing like mid-30 minutes. And I do think that he can put up a big game, literally get you up to like 50 DraftKings points in this one. So I like him a lot. And then you got Jakob Poeltl, Derek White, Keldon Johnson. Like I said, these guys are much more versatile plays. Jakob Poeltl is a starting center, so I'd say, feel confident in playing him. And Rashawn Holmes should make it so that he has to be out there on the floor. He had a big game last time out. Derek White and Keldon Johnson can be a little up and down, but these guys have upside. They're great tournament plays, and they are on the cheaper end at only 5K and 5.7, and a great matchup taking on the Sacramento squad. So have no issues with you playing them whatsoever. Milwaukee taking on the Los Angeles Lakers. This game comes in right now with an 8.5 point spread in favor of the Milwaukee Bucks at 221.5 over under. There is no LeBron James or Anthony Davis. So you might think to yourself, why is the spread so much in favor of Milwaukee? That would be why if you haven't been keeping up with basketball. So that means Giannis, Chris Middleton, Drew Holiday, all would be decent plays. And my concern in this one is the blowout or just them not really needing to be pushed that much against this current Los Angeles Lakers squad. If they are going to be pushed, I would highly recommend that you're playing someone on the Los Angeles Lakers squad back at them to make sure this game stays close. And those three main candidates would be Kyle Kuzma, Montrezl Harrell, and Dennis Schroeder. All three of these guys are going to continue to see a lot of responsibility to try to keep the Lakers in playoff contention, continue winning games, and yeah, they're the three that I'm really looking to. And then you can play a Talen Horton-Tucker as well. He'd be the next runner-up at 5'6", but hasn't really stepped up to the plate too much as far as having big games since LeBron and Anthony Davis have been out. So I'm not all too excited about playing him. You could play Dante DiVincenzo at 5'8", would be my last candidate on the Milwaukee side. If this game gets a little out of hand and they're still running, I would expect him to get more run than like a Drew Holiday, a Chris Middleton, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. So not the fastest-paced game in the world. And the last game on the slate, we got Chicago taking on Phoenix. This game right now comes in with a 222.5 over under with a 7-point spread in favor of the Phoenix Suns. So, decently paced game. We did have Kobe White and Zach LaVine listed as questionable in this one. If they're both out, that is pretty relevant news. Apparently, Coach Billy Donovan said that Zach LaVine is, quote, not great, and he's listed as questionable, which to me sounds like he's going to be out. And Kobe White listed as questionable as well. That's going to open up more minutes for Thomas Satoransky and Ryan Arcidiacono. So that's pretty relevant news. He's all the way down to 3K, but specifically it would be Thomas Satoransky at 4.5, and then also you have to factor in Nikola Vucevic, the new acquisition, at the center position at 9.1. If there's none of those guards to feed into his usage, I think he gets a big bump up in usage as well. And not the best matchup taking on this Phoenix squad, unfortunately, is the only problem. And like I said, it's expected that Phoenix wins fairly easily with a 7-point spread, but you do definitely have to account for this. Lauri Markkanen could get a big bump in usage as well at 4.8. So more shots to go around, more usage to go around. That's all relevant news. And then on the Phoenix side, Chicago is a pretty great matchup. So Chris Paul at 8K, I will continue to have interest in him for sure. Has been a little underwhelming recently. Devin Booker continues to be kind of underwhelming as well at times. So they're a little inconsistent, but those are the two guys. I do prefer Chris Paul at 8K, more on-ball handling duty, more assist upside. Devin Booker always has the upside, and I wouldn't be surprised if Devin Booker goes out there and puts up 70 DraftKings points tonight, but guess what? He's probably either going to put up 70 or, 30 type of deal, and he's priced at 8.5. That's how Devin Booker rolls. So if I'm telling you I prefer Chris Paul, that's why I say that. I'm not saying not to play Devin Booker. Play Devin Booker in tournaments. He can win you every single night, but he can also make your lineup lose every single night. It's just kind of how he rolls. He's a hot, streaky shooter, and the way this usage is set up on this team is just how it goes. DeAndre Ayton at 6'6", last option on the Phoenix side, starting center minutes, playing mid-30s or so, and only priced at 6'6". I do think he's an interesting option as well. So that's my overall breakdown for this slate. Before I let you guys go, I got to give you my lock of the night. Let's get into it. And my lock of the night tonight is going to be De'Aaron Fox taking on this San Antonio squad tonight, and what is expected to be a very up-tempo game. A 230.5 over under the 2.5 point spread in favor of the San Antonio Spurs. Expected to stay close, expected to be up-tempo, and I think that De'Aaron Fox can really have a big game tonight. I said at the top, you're going to pay up for him, but he's going to be well worth it. Putting up 1.22 DK points per minute right now, and all the way down to 9.3. I say all the way down, not a huge disparity from his recent 9.5, but anytime I can get a few $100s off on De'Aaron Fox, I do think it's very relevant. He's always going to be priced up for good reason, but when I see him drop just a little bit, I get excited because this guy's upside is ridiculous, especially in this fast pace of a game. Last time playing the same team, it was a 132-115 finish, turned into a blowout. He only got 34 minutes and put up 44 DraftKings points. So I'd imagine if this game can actually stay close as it's expected to, we could see upwards of upper 30s to 40 minutes, and I'm going to love him in that scenario. De'Aaron Fox is my lock of the night. So there you have it, guys. De'Aaron Fox, get him in your lineups, and that is all for me in this one. If you did enjoy the content, please leave a like on this video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell. I would greatly appreciate that, and then don't forget to check out my Patreon package, link below in the description. If you're getting real serious about NBA DFS, I got premium projections, NBA data sheets, a bunch of different tools to help you win money night in and night out. So wish you guys all the best of luck tonight, and we will see you in the next one.